and crypto. Okay.
All right. So YouTube Live should be starting soon, and then I'll send the link in the Zoom chat, and then that's where Christian Dean, you can post it to our Discord. Connor, you can post it to yours, or just play it however you want it. And then obviously Hunter and Miriam, you can do your stuff too. All right, so there's the link. And all right, we should be able to get started soon. So just wait a little bit for, kind of everyone to settle in, because we're just starting. So how's everyone's weekend going?
Just a little rainy is all, but other than that, no complaints.
Oh, well, I guess, okay, rain is good. I had a cold front come through again. I was like, are you serious? It's April. Why is it still cold? I feel like
it's hot the last few days too, is what kind of threw it off. And then just kind of this big influx of rain coming in the last day or two.
Yeah.
I'm getting used to it being cold. Coming from Miami, I'm used to the eternal summer, always warm every day of the year.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to generate work in Miami. So every January and February I can be there, but I'm not there yet.
You should come for Miami Hack Week. It's pretty fun.
Is it still going on? I thought it ended a couple
days. No,
it
ended, but come next year.
Oh, okay.
It's in January.
Yeah, I really want to, but I had to.
I know the organizer, so I can hook you up.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, and then I can go hang out with Hunter as opposed to texting and be like, "Yo, Hunter, I saw this person there with you." He's like, "Yeah, I'm talking to them."
Love it. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm done setting up. Apologies, everyone who's been waiting. Connor, just want to double check first. Is everything good on your side?
Yes, live stream's working. Got it all sent out. Appreciate it. I'll probably hop off now. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Thanks, guys.
All right. So yeah, you're welcome, Connor. It's great having you here. And we will go ahead and introduce to everyone the other proud NC State alum. We have Hunter Coleman. And of course, we have Miriam coming back. But let's have Hunter introduce himself first this time.
Yes. How's everybody doing that's tuning in? Yes, as Scotty mentioned, my name's Hunter Coleman. Graduated in 2020. Majoring in sport management and entrepreneurship. And for me, over the last, 2.5 years, have been really diving deep into this, crypto and Web3 space, but also educating athletes and just showing them, not only all the different use cases of Web3 and blockchain technology, but ultimately giving them an objective outlook of how they can, leverage their community and their built-in audience, and just show them the work that it takes to build a name in this space, but also the possibilities of this space if they are able to just have the mindset that they take for their personal on the court or on the field careers, and just translate those same skill sets ultimately into this newer space of blockchain.
All right. And we also have Miriam, who is back again. So Miriam, why don't you introduce yourself again in case anyone missed you that first time?
Hi, everyone. I'm Miriam, reintroducing myself. I am a designer. I create graphic design. I have a background in industrial design. So that's what I study in North Carolina State. I love crypto. I love NFTs. And I'm happy to be here with you today.
All right. And since I always forget to introduce myself, I should do that more often. I'm Scotty Shaw, and I graduated from Duke in 2009. And this is a joint event between HackDW3C, which is the official hackathon for Duke University's Web3 conference coming up, and Hack NC State, which is North Carolina State University's largest in-person hackathon. And of course, with Miriam, Hunter being on the Duke Web3 conference team with me, but then also being proud NC State alums, we want to make sure that we have these joint events like this and really welcome everyone. And of course, shout out to Hack NC State and NC State as well. The one school we can't beat in basketball somehow. We go to your stadium and just get wrecked. I don't know how, but you're kryptonite. So moving into the talk, this is an introduction to crypto. So I'll be sharing my screen. I guess Miriam and Hunter, before we get started, is there anything you want to throw in, kind of prep everyone for this?
This is just a 101 on just getting into crypto, what you need to know. We can't obviously cover everything, but we hope it's very informative.
Yes.
All right.
Follow up Miriam's point, I think just trying to give both an objective viewpoint of, some of the main terms, but also, the upsides and the downsides of the space, and just ultimately, as she mentioned, hopefully take one thing away from this quick deep dive.
All right. So I'm going to share my screen now, and then, okay. All right, my Zoom's saying the screen is loading. I've never had that happen. Okay, looks like we're good to go. All right, Miriam, Hunter, do your thing.
Yeah, so we'll start off on the next slide as far as just a little introduction into what exactly is crypto, and just give you an idea of sort of some of the most popular coins that have, ultimately popularized the space. So essentially what cryptocurrency is basically just thinking of it as a digital currency that's, ultimately has been built out to work as a way to exchange, through a computer network, and have more of a peer-to-peer interaction, and essentially take out the middleman, which would be, your major banks and everything included in that aspect on the financial side, and really just more so empowering the user itself and the interaction itself, as far as just giving them an option to help maneuver as far as we get more and more into the more digitalized society. And just again, taking out a lot of the middleman, whether that be the banks themselves or the government. And essentially, a lot of these major coins have built out their own major networks and followings. And with the two major coins, I think a lot of people that have heard a bit about the crypto space being obviously Bitcoin and Ethereum, but also a lot of other useful coins that have, built a huge following and have, a lot of different applications to them, whether it be the most relatable to the physical US dollar and USDC, Solana, that got very popularized in 2021, otherwise known as kind of like the Solana summer, as well as, Polygon, which has a lot of, beneficial use cases, and a lot of major brands have started to migrate over to that space and using their respective network, and Cardano as well, as far as building out, not only NFTs, but having an opportunity for, communities to connect, and really just all of these coins, ultimately, they have a lot of different supporters, or as what some would call, your maxis, short for your maximalists. Just consider that, and as far as the sports analogy, like super fans, the super supporters of respective digital asset. And yeah, these are just, again, some of the major coins that have essentially built out what we are now in 2023 as far as the cryptocurrency space.
So we can't have all the terms, but here are some really popular terms that are in the Web3/crypto space. If you heard of a DAO, it stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. And what that essentially is it's a group of people who all have equal rights together. There is no leader of the group or a dictator, if you want to call it that, as some people who are in crypto might see it that way. But ideally, people in a DAO are treated more equally. There is an equal distribution of who gets to make decisions. Decisions are usually taken by a vote. Sometimes DAOs can be organized in a way where the amount of contribution, the more you contribute towards a group or organization, the more your weight your vote might hold. So DAOs can be structured differently, but ideally it's to give power to the people within that community or organization. Whereas in traditional companies, organizational structures usually have a top-down hierarchy, but it's more of a bottom-up hierarchy in a DAO. NFTs, short for non-fungible tokens, essentially can be any unit of data that's stored onto the blockchain, can be an image, can be audio, can be music. And often people trade it for their utility value, or they like to keep them for themselves as profile pictures to denote that they're part of an organization or group, like having a Bored Apes NFT, or if you're a supporter of some of my work, having a Space Dragons NFT, which we'll be releasing later this month. Decentralized finance, also DeFi for short, allows for technology to remove just that third-party middleman of the bank, ideally allowing for just more transactions that happen more peer-to-peer. Hunter, do you want to take care of cover the last two terms?
Sure thing. And so, for blockchain, that's essentially, the networks that they're built on. And basically just to kind of break down where the term came from, essentially each transaction that you have within these online ledgers and these online databases is considered its own individual block. And as these transactions, are done back to back and over time, they're all connected towards each other on essentially a chain of transactions. So essentially that's how you come up with the term blockchain. And the great thing about that is, it's always kept, it's always online as far as, you can go back and refer to this database. It's not something that can, be interrupted or interfered with. Once you've gone through the transaction, it lives on the blockchain forever. And it's essentially just, a lifelong list of, database that's ultimately collected within this respective network or chain, as they would say. And then lastly, the metaverse, which is essentially it's moving more into like a 3D virtual space that allows, human in real life experience to happen, in a digital world. And some might try to, combine the two as far as a digital kind of world. You see with some projects, but essentially the metaverse is all strictly online and, again, a 3D experience where artists and collaborators are able to, showcase whether it be their art or connect with their communities for online events. It just, again, provides more accessibility, over on a global scale to opportunities as far as, different projects and communities to be able to connect and just showcase ultimately their talents and, what they best are passionate about within the space through the lens of the metaverse. And so now, me and Miriam, as we mentioned earlier, we want to obviously speak about, the good sides of, all this space as far as crypto and DeFi, but also want to give you also, the potential negative and downsides that come with, entering the space. So on the positive note, what is great about crypto projects is that, it gives you a more transparent, again, and traceable records. And that comes with, as I mentioned earlier, through the blockchain and through these projects that are built out. So they allow you, again, to just have more transparency in the work that you do, as well as keeping note and keeping records of the work that has been done in the past. Also, the ability to empower each individual user that enters this space that's able to build projects out, or if they're an artist, release a collection out, and they are able to do so in a decentralized format. And again, within the DAO structure, also as a community, gives you ultimately more power and ownership into whatever respective project or community that you've entered. And again, just ultimately in a good side, empowers you and gives you that ownership, but on the flip side, it holds you accountable as well, because you are ultimately the ultimate owner and the ownership lays in your hands. So it's ultimately a matter of how you view it and how you are able to, consistently provide value within the space. And again, just keep that mindset of having true ownership within the space and just seeing, the responsibility that ultimately comes with that ownership.
So, going back to the last point, crypto products are wonderful, but I wouldn't do it just to expect to get rich quick or because you think you might make a lot of money really fast. Crypto projects are a lot like a lot of other startups. They take a lot of time building up your community to have a strong, solid project, and not everything needs to be backed onto the blockchain. So you do need to evaluate, is it something that integrating Web3 and crypto makes sense into the project? And is it something that I truly believe in and really want to put out there in the world as well? So there are many use cases for crypto. It spans across many different industries. I've done a lot of work helping blockchain startups and helping them to get investment funding. So I've created a lot of marketing materials and learned a lot about very unique situations. One of the companies I've worked for is backing legal certifications and documents onto the blockchain. It's been a huge problem in many different countries where a lot of licenses are forged. Flight certifications for your flight attendants often can be forged in other countries. And so one of the companies I've worked with has been blocking some of those educational and certifications onto the blockchain to prevent that fraud. And that's kind of an interesting use case where having that transparent ledger is really useful to have.
Yes, so for me, a lot of, my angle as far as within Web3 is working with a lot of people, not only in the entertainment space, but a lot of different athletes, and helping to empower them as far as not only in the collegiate, but the professional level as well. And one athlete that I think really stands out as far as that's really, taking the reins as far as, being a advocate, not only for the Web3 and toolings and, speaking about, the potential value and use cases, but also being a builder and someone who has, again, been able to showcase their value within the space. Spencer Dinwiddie, who is a current NBA guard for the Brooklyn Nets, and actually has co-founded a company called Galaxy with a solo CZ, two Black founders who were within the past year able to, in their recent seeding round, raise over $26 million. And essentially what the Galaxy app is a open social marketplace, and their kind of logo or slogans, built by the creators for the creators. And again, is allowing a open marketplace for, users to ultimately own their IP, which I think, especially for athletes and, entertainers and artists, is very valuable within this space, because ultimately, especially with athletes, a lot of them, especially at the highest levels, they already have the built-in audiences and communities and fan bases. And ultimately, a lot of these fans that they have, they just want to learn more about them, as an individual outside their respective sport. And I think, one, them, taking ownership as far as, putting out their respective content, but also two, being able to own their IP and own their content and not have to, rely on strictly, the social medias that we know today, like, your Twitters and your Instagrams, Facebooks, or Metas, so to speak, that can ultimately shut down at any point or remove you from their platforms and completely wipe out your audience. So I think the Web3, the big value in that aspect is allowing you, again, to have that ownership as not only, artist or creative or athlete, but again, owning your, your content, but also your audience and community, and being able to have and empower yourself as far as not having to worry about, potential shutdown with any of these, current social media platforms, or them potentially, shadow banning any of your content if they, maybe don't resonate with it as far as, their current founders and their teams for, the social medias we've grown up on. And so for me, again, that's kind of one of the main use cases I've, preached to a lot of these athletes, as far as just ultimate values, what their IP and their content can be on a long-term scale.
Awesome. So as you can see, there are many use cases. Another way that you can use cryptocurrency is accessing virtual spaces in the metaverse. This image is of a space gallery, art gallery by Gigi Hadid and their architectural firm. But there are many interesting use cases of visiting the metaverse and being able to connect with people in conferences. A lot of conferences are hosting some talks in the metaverse. Art galleries are having some of their artwork and their studios set up in the metaverse. And so they're doing a parallel in real-time events where people can physically be at that physical location and also be in the metaverse at the same time that an event or conference is going on, so that it opens up the audience to be able to participate in joint events if you can't physically attend in person, and also the limitations of being able to host maybe a certain number of people at a venue.
And then lastly, as far as a use case, another, huge sector as far as Web3 that has, kind of built a lot of the audience, in the early, bull run of 2021. But I think on a long-term scale will also be, a very, valid contributor to a lot of the, mass adoption within the space is the GameFi aspect of Web3. One of the best examples of that is Axie Infinity. And I think as far as a more well-known game, Fortnite would probably be the best example as far as using and having, the gamers and the users, spend money on buying things, like skins, for your gamer, and just being able to also on the Axie Infinity side have a P2E, otherwise known as a play-to-earn game, where it ultimately, attracts users by, obviously they play the game, they, go through it and are able to earn whatever their respective token for the game is. And that ultimately, helps users want to, stay involved and, continue playing the game. Obviously, is there, benefiting financially, but also, again, helps to attract the users. And I think GameFi is something that's obviously not going to go as far as the gaming industry. That's obviously an industry that's not going away anytime soon. And, I would say we only have more and more kids that are, moving or growing up, not knowing anything but the digital space, and as far as digital gamings and video games as well. And I think as that ultimately that generation matures and moves more towards into this space and matures along with this space, they'll be a lot easier to convert because they have grown up using different tech, even if it's not necessarily Web3 or crypto native technology, just being comfortable in the space of playing video games, knowing what's the cool or the newest games to keep up with, and just interacting online, and just ultimately learning these new technologies is a lot less of a steeper learning curve than, maybe your older generations who aren't as tech savvy. And I think for me, that's again, why it's such a great use case, because gaming is something that's, just a huge sector in general within tech, but also I think within Web3, as we see more of these users come and see just attracted to some of the bigger games that are going to launch within these next few years. Ultimately, I think GameFi will be definitely a game changer and disrupting aspect of Web3 crypto.
So with any project, of course, especially if you're going to be in the crypto space, it's really important to make sure that you're aware of some of the scams that might happen, because inevitably being in the space long enough, you'll be probably run into some maybe tricky situations. So here are some terms and also things to be aware of. A rug pull, you might have heard that term before, but if you haven't, it's a common term that means a team might have a project that they're proposing and they don't really have any intent on ever delivering that project. Maybe they're promising, oh, if you buy my NFT, you'll be the first person to be able to be a part of this community, or maybe if you get my token, you'll be able to trade it. But ideally, they never had the intention of fully building out projects. And so they're essentially pulling the rug under the customer's feet and taking all the money and running with that. So it's important to check, are the communities for those projects engaged? Is there real conversations happening in the Discord groups, on Twitter spaces? Is it legit or is it full of bots? It's important to know if there are real conversations happening for a project and to do some of that research to know if a project is legit or not.
Yes, and I think also just to follow up on Miriam's point of even within the beginning, if the team might seem like a great team, just again, stay engaged and stay vigilant on their team, because they might, have good intentions, but maybe as a runway, as they lose some of their funding isn't as stable as it was at the beginning, they can also potentially change their strategies, and that could be another factor as far as, the rug pull as well. So again, just staying engaged and staying, observant of what the team is doing and how they're engaging the community, what value they're bringing. And again, just, staying aware of the team, whether they are in an anonymous or an anon, as, some might say in Twitter, but also for some, they might be, docs, as they'll say, which is you're aware of who the team is, regardless, just try your best to, do your deep dive and your research into the team. If you can find some major C-suites or execs or, people, major players within the team, see, what previous projects have they worked on, what's been the success and or failure of that, what's kind of their reputation within the space, and just how others perceive them within the Web3 space as well. Because I think that all ultimately adds up to what'll be a successful project or a lack thereof. And just again, as you have the ownership within you, as far as in the crypto space, that's again where you have to take ownership and accountability of, staying up to date with, what's happening in the space and, the projects that you are a part of and ultimately support.
And of course, in the bigger projects that you might create, the more traction and attention you might get. So it's really important that you're very cautious about who's messaging you. I've personally had a lot of people who message me and maybe spam my inbox, but it's important to make sure, are the people messaging you, are they verified? Are they real people? Do they have good intentions? I try to get on a phone call when I can, when people contact me about crypto project, because if people can't spend 5 minutes to talk to you on the phone, is that someone you really want to work with? And maybe likely, if they're not willing to get on the phone and talk to you for 5 minutes, it's very possible they might not be a real person. And that does happen pretty often in crypto. So it's really important to be aware of who you're talking to. Do they have the right intentions? And be careful about who you give out your information to and communicate with, because there are often a lot of fake accounts, fake impersonators, people who might try to go after your identity and build a fake account. And it's really important to make sure that you're always trying to authentically verify who you are talking to and you are talking to the right person online.
Yes, and also, again, just make sure to always double check and just understand, even people that have been around in the space for years and years now within this space have, made the same mistakes that you potentially will too. So again, just try to make sure it's not a financially costly mistake, and hopefully learn from others that have made mistakes as well. But next, we'll just touch on a lot of the major accounts that kind of make up what is, Web3 and crypto and how you best maneuver it. So essentially financially, we'll start off with some of the wallets, which is most popular one is probably a MetaMask wallet that a lot of people use. They have a desktop application as well as a mobile version as well. And then there's also the Phantom wallet, which is more so on the Solana blockchain. So for those that are more, using a lot of the Solana aspects or using their apps or decentralized apps and, participating in their NFTs as well, that's kind of the main wallet that you would use for that, versus a MetaMask wallet, which is more so like your Polygons, and mainly Ethereum is probably the most popular, chain that's used for MetaMask. But most importantly is, your hardware, your cold wallets, as far as like a Ledger, which is the last wallet as well. And I would definitely recommend, anybody that's serious about entering the space and, especially owning NFTs or, cryptocurrency, I would definitely recommend that you buy a Ledger. And as far as just being able to keep your storage, and that's probably the most secure wallet that you can have. There's other versions of these types of wallet and other companies, but Ledger is kind of the main or most well-known one, I would say, or at least one of the top two, I would definitely say. And then next.
And adding on to about the wallets, a hot wallet is connected to the internet. It's usually a plugin. A cold wallet is a lot more secure. So having a cold wallet is really great because you are less likely, very, very improbable that someone would try to hack into a storage wallet. So one strategy could be, if you want to move your funds from a hot wallet to a cold wallet to make sure they are secure, that's usually a very good strategy when you're getting into crypto.
And then next on this page, just some of the apps that there's more for the less crypto native individuals, but still allows you opportunity to buy into certain cryptocurrencies. Probably Coinbase is probably the most, I would say, user friendly, or as far as, just their UI and just the ease of use as far as using the app. And then some more recognizable apps, I would say, is, your Robinhood and then your Cash App as well. That allows you to go on there and, buy like your Bitcoins and your Ethereums, things of that nature as well. And then lastly, just some apps as far as, how you'll communicate with a lot of the users and, be able to have and learn and essentially find a lot of the information within the Web3 space and crypto spaces. First, your Discord. For me, that's where I joined the majority of, my first communities, and really how I got involved as far as, the deep dive of connecting with people. And then as far as a social media platform, Twitter is definitely where a lot of the crypto native people will interact, and they send out a lot of their information, and they'll send out just a lot of tweets. And I would definitely, say, if you're not on any social media, Twitter is probably the best one, as far as if you're wanting to be involved and potentially network, and also just, again, just be involved in knowing the knowledge of the space. Twitter is probably your best bet as far as seeing a lot of the major founders and a lot of the major communities, and just other community members as well. And then Telegram is another, well, similar to Discord, is another, well-known messaging app that will be used. But Discord's probably I would say, just the number one. But between Discord and Telegram, you're most likely going to interact on those two main applications. And then Twitter is probably as well through direct messages, just following different tweets. Those would be the three, most used as far as just communicating with others within the crypto space.
So getting involved in crypto and Web3, join different communities. Get on Discord, Telegram, Slack, also Twitter. Just put yourself in the room and say, hey, I'm here, I want to learn. What's really great about Web3 enthusiasts is that they're very open in sharing knowledge and really believe in equity and building up everyone in the space. So if you really want to learn about crypto, just tell your friends, tell people in the crypto space. They would be more than happy to welcome you. Go to different events. You don't have to live in a major city. You can attend a lot of events virtually. You can go to Twitter Spaces. You can find different conferences and find their groups on Telegram or just online, and say, like, learn from the individuals there and network there. And of course, the best way to learn in crypto is, of course, to create. Work on different projects in the space, learn, and just build.
And just to kind of finish off, I know Miriam's already presented, so for those that have been on for the last few hours, and as far as the hackathon, you've probably already gotten a deep dive on her, but just to kind of touch on a few of the things that I've been working on in the space, and just doing my part as far as to educate others. I have a management and consulting firm, PIE450 Sport and Entertainment, which specializes in working with athletes as far as helping them with branding and getting them sponsorship deals and partnerships, but also on the crypto and Web3 side, just again, educating them and then helping to empower them as far as, the value of blockchain technology and Web3, but also how they can best leverage it and attack it as far as, different use cases, but also giving them a realistic viewpoint of this isn't something that you can just enter and just, do at your will. Inconsistent, actions will lead to inconsistent results. So in the same way that you take ownership of your careers, is for the athletes that I tell them, and the amount of work that you put in and the consistency that you put in, that's the same mindset that you need to have, and regardless of what aspect of the crypto space or the Web3 space, DeFi space, metaverse, whatever aspect of it that you want to enter, you still need those same core principles as far as consistency, just being someone of the space that's providing value and knowledge, but also is putting in the time and the hours to stay up to date, but also make sure that you're engaged with your team and your community. And for me, just being very passionate about, helping and being an asset and an ally to these athletes, and just helping them to ultimately take control of their brands, but also, take advantage of this new and growing space. And just for me, just a little bit about just how I kind of got into the space for me was really just, really just falling into the rabbit hole, as they say, as far as just learning and just seeing different communities within Discords, joining different Discords, putting myself out there in like Twitter spaces for these different communities, and just really reaching out to different founders, but also just community members, and being able to follow crypto native accounts to get a gauge of what's happening in the space as far as the market of the space, any major events that are happening in the space, good or bad, and just really again reading on what they call white papers, which is really just a major breakdown of what a respective project is building out, and just kind of the ultimate utility and the main features of the app as well. And so just really by doing that, just really being, I would say the one major thing is to just stay curious as far as what you want to learn about the space. The more you spend time just, being curious, doing your best to just get engaged with different projects and just different, members that you are a fan of, and just ultimately putting yourself out there, seeing different ways you can, ultimately provide value. And I think if you spend that time and put in the hours, the best way I can say to learn the space is by living it. And that's by, being engaged in these communities, if you can financially buying into different, NFT projects or artist collections that are dropping as well, that you're, a fan of and want to support. And just ultimately just slowly you'll engage and you'll be more familiar with the terms, you'll again find more projects and find more crypto native individuals that you'll want to follow. And so, for me, just keeping a curious mind, I think is the best advice I can give, and just remaining vigilant and just staying on point as far as, taking ownership and accountability is within the space, because there's a lot of great opportunity in the space, but again, there's a lot of, bad actors within the space as well that are ready and willing to take advantage of people in the space that are new and just newly onboarded. So again, it's one of those things where you have to, you can meet a lot of great people in this space, but there's an opportunity to also, lose a lot in the space if you're not careful. So again, just keeping an objective viewpoint and just seeing, not only the value, but also just remaining vigilant as far as, the value within the space. And so that's kind of a deep dive on me and just how I got involved, and, why I've been so adamant as far as, speaking on, these different topics related to DeFi and the metaverse and Web3, and just being able to connect, with great individuals like Scotty and Miriam as well. And really just continue building my network, not only within this space, but just with, just good individuals and good people that want to build and connect and help grow the space.
Oh, just realized I was on mute. I was just saying, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email. If you just are curious about the space or just want to say hi, we'd love to hear from you.
Yes, and for anybody who's still tuned in, we greatly appreciate you taking the time out to listen to both me and Miriam. And again, we hope you were able to at least take one takeaway from this talk. And again, if you have any other questions or enjoy what we spoke about, again, feel free to reach out to either one of us. And just glad to be a part of this, and again help my fellow Wolfpack, and just again give back to NC State as much as it's given to me.
Woo, go Pack!
Thanks a lot, Miriam and Hunter. Great talk. I feel like every talk I've had, I've actually learned something. I mentioned that earlier with Colin's talk, and then Miriam's talk, and then this one as well. Definitely shout out to y'all for bringing in so much knowledge, so much experience. And I don't think many people would necessarily realize, but to create a talk where everyone following along can learn something so in such a quick and simple way, that takes a lot of skill and obviously a lot of effort as well. So really appreciate y'all putting together this amazing slideshow with, all the definitions and visuals everyone needs. So anyone who wants to learn how to do that, obviously, Miriam can help out with that. And anyone who's interested in sports management and entrepreneurship, that's what Hunter does. So thank you for all that. I guess just a quick question before we get off. Shouting out to NC State and all that. What, all the stuff you're doing now, what would you like to do to impact those who follow in your footsteps?
I guess I'll go for, unless you want to
Sure.
go, Hunter.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. I just really want to build the best projects and push the boundaries of the space of what you can do. So a lot of the work I'm doing is in an NFT realm. I've had images that I've drawn and I've built 3D prototypes of, which I have a donut Doge. It's a Doge on donut wheels. It's a physical collectible toy and also going to be an NFT that's going to be dropped at the Duke Web3 conference. So I really want to push the boundaries of what can be made. And my best advice for anyone is push those boundaries, do what you can do, and just build the most amazing projects that you can. Also really want to support and build up people who are building really cool things in the space. So it really means a lot when people like you support, follow, and like projects that are happening. And you would be really, I'm sure, like when you build your projects, you'll be really grateful and appreciative of your fans and community who do support you when you build your projects too. So really appreciate you guys listening and we'd love to see you at the Duke Web3 conference. And yeah, let's hear from Hunter.
Yeah, great points by Miriam. And for me, I definitely would say just as far as wanting to, kind of push the industry forward, definitely continue just building genuine relationships with not only people in the communities that I've been a part of, but also different founders. And again, like with the athletes and entertainers that I work with and artists, just again, just wanting to be a genuine connection and ally and just someone that, they can rely upon as far as just giving them an objective viewpoint on the space, but also someone who, I see a lot of the bad actors, and it's very transparent as well within the sports industry as far as just, people that are not necessarily in it for the right reasons. And I just want to, on the long-term scale, hopefully be at the front of mind for individuals as the space continues to grow and continues to build up. But just any advice that I would give is just, don't come into it expecting a lot as far as just put out your value and your ideas and just find the projects that resonate with you and just don't be afraid to, reach out and put yourself out there, step outside of your comfort zone. And I would also say, especially if you're a more creative person and wanting to get as far as maybe the artist or the visual side, I would say ultimately, trust your creativity and just don't limit yourself and box yourself in as far as the potential that you can take within this space. And just again, just understand that there's a lot, it's a new space and it's something that if you take the time to educate yourself and empower yourself with the knowledge of the space and how you can take advantage, you will, over time, you will build a name in this space. It is, again, such a new space. And it's one that if you are genuinely giving out value and are providing it to others and just putting yourself out there, you will find and you will naturally connect with the right people. But again, you just have to spend that time and the hours to not only learn it, but also, step outside your comfort zone and just, just see how far you can take it ultimately. Cause it's kind of, it's a scary time because it's such a new and fast-paced space. And, you might not know what's happening, 6 months from now, let alone 6 years from now. But also that's kind of the exciting portion of it because it's like a blank canvas, so to speak. And so it's like, again, whatever you kind of visualize and can envision for what you can do for the space, it's it's definitely possible if you take the time to, you know, go about it the right way and build the right connections. You know, it's something that can ultimately change your life, build out, you know, connections you might have never not ever have thought about or dreamed about. And just yeah, I would just say just don't limit yourself, put the time in, and ultimately just help educate others, because that's ultimately how the space will continue to grow and build in more, bring a bond and onboard more and more users. And that's ultimately how the space will grow and become more integrated in, you know, our day-to-day lives.
All right, thanks so much. Yeah, Hacking State, we hope you enjoyed this joint event, you know, hearing from two of your alums who are also on the Duke Web3 conference team with me. And yeah, we hope you have a great Hacking State. Definitely keep building this stuff. You know, we're aware that you're focusing on environmental stuff, but in a couple hours, I'll be giving a talk on an environmental topic, a little bit more focused. It's tokenization and carbon credits, which is part of the how to reduce your carbon footprint. So we hope you enjoyed this talk. Hopefully all the talks plus mine kind of give you an idea of what you can do for your Hacking State project. And for everyone coming from HackDW3C, well, you know, this is all Web3. So we hope this intersectional talk has been great for everyone. Really hope that it's really helped you develop your ideas for what you're going to build soon. And yeah, you can see on the screen everyone's their contact information for Miriam and Hunter. We will also include it in the video description below. So yeah, if you want to reach out, just do that and join these communities, build, and just in general, well, I don't know if I can say it, but y'all can say go Wolfpack.
Go Wolfpack!
Always go Pack.
All right, there you go. From your own alums, thank you so much. We will see you around.